because it's Saturday night.
Welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, a special edition of Oilers Fan Reaction. Great talk for the Oilers fan. We are chewing something through Discord as Luba will be joining me for our finals prediction and feel what his thoughts are. How are the Oilers looked so far getting here? How does he think they're going to do in the finals? How's it going today, Lubo?
Hello. It is going well.
Here we go. Perfect. So what do you think of the Oilers getting this far, despite everybody thinking they wouldn't?
Yeah, I'll say, I don't know, for probably about 3-4 months ago, it looked like it was going to be either the Oilers or the Canucks winning out the West. And, yeah, I don't think anything changed my mind there. That Canucks-Oilers series was razor close, and I know there's some other good teams in the West, but just with all the tools that the Oilers bring, they had the best cards at the table.
Best cards at the table for sure. Now, on the other side, obviously, the Florida Panthers got through probably an arguably just as hard a road as Dallas had. Tampa, Boston, and I think it was the Rangers to get here. So, yeah, it's not like they had an easy road either, but hey, nobody's easy in these playoffs.
Yeah, one impressive thing with Florida is that they went through some pretty stingy goalies as well in all three of their series to make it all the way to the finals. So that's probably I would say my most impressive thing that I've noticed from Florida so far. I don't think they've necessarily blown out their opponents, but still managing to get through three strong goalies is quite impressive.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like you said in the comment, both teams didn't touch the conference final cups. One team has to win, right? Like, superstitions be damned. One of these teams has to win. Of course. I know for me personally, I am not a superstitious guy. One team has to win, one team has to lose. And I'm okay with the Oilers win and Florida loses.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Yeah, as far as superstitions go, yeah, I don't know. Make those trophies count for something if you're going to have them. Otherwise, just get rid of them. Because whether you believe in superstitions or not, I think everybody can agree that those trophies currently are pointless. And to be honest, I'd rather, it's a pretty monumental achievement just to win your own conference. I have no doubt in my mind that the NHL playoffs are the hardest sports playoffs to go all the way.
Yeah, no,
And
definitely.
you should definitely,
Definitely is
yeah, you
one of
should
the
definitely
hardest.
take some pride in that.
No, absolutely. Definitely take the pride in knowing that, hey, there's only two teams left, right? 2 out of 32. How often do you get to say that?
Yeah, each round is a 7-game series too. It's not like it's a best of 3 or best of 5. No, every round best of 7.
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, I'm going to edit the video here on YouTube as we're doing live. Because I just noticed I clicked live on the game 1. Which is scheduled tomorrow, by the way, guys. if you guys care, there will be a game one. I'll be a bit late, but Lubo will be on his end doing his thing.
Yeah, hopefully traffic won't be too bad for you.
And no, the stadium is about 15, 20 minutes away from my house. So I've kind of copied some pictures from ESPN, Stanley Cup final, showing the two goalies here, Bobrovsky and Skinner. I think that is going to be the huge difference in this series, is Bobrovsky-Skinner. You know, I think Bobrovsky is the better goalie, but I think Edmonton has the better defense as a whole, part of defense. You can go Ekblad and Forsling, and I'll show the rosters up here in a second. I figure, hey, if you're going to do this, do it all out. And
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
And I would probably pick Bobrovsky over Skinner as well. But I mean, I think it's a lot closer than what people give Skinner credit for. And the Oilers definitely learned something in that Edmonton-Vancouver series. I mean, ever since I think it was Game 5, that Oilers D, and it's not just their defense; it's their forwards, merging in with that defense. They've really ramped it up, and if they can continue to play like that, they're gonna get some pretty good stops from Skinner, and they're going to get I don't think they're going to get scored on a whole lot, whereas the Oilers, it doesn't matter who they're facing as far as defense goes, they're going to get points. Simple as that.
Oh, yeah, and like I just brought out the picture here of the pairings and who the first game is going to look like. My big takeaway from this is Holloway and Kane moved up on the line with Draisaitl, where McLeod and Perry were for 2 games to end the Dallas series. That's interesting to me. Maybe that's the sign of they think Florida is going to try and use their weight more than Dallas did, use their aggressive hitting style, put bigger wingers with Draisaitl. That way you've got 2 lines that can kind of carry the bag in the McDavid line and the Draisaitl line. For me personally, I think it's going to come down to the bottom 6. You got Janmark, Henrique, and Brown, McLeod, Ryan, and Perry going against an older Tarasenko, Okposo, Stunlin, Lundberg. I take the Oilers' top 6 over Florida's top 6.
Yeah, and that depth scoring from the Oilers has really stepped up as well. I mean, obviously they're getting a lot of points from their big name players, but I've also been impressed with how the bottom 6 has played as well. I don't know if I've seen them really play. I mean, sure, okay, they went on that 16-game win streak, right? But even comparing that to now, I don't know if I've seen them play any better as a whole. And to me, that's really encouraging. And to me, they definitely stand a chance against Florida for sure. Florida's going to come at you. They're going to hit a lot. They're also pretty good on face-offs. But depending on how this Stanley Cup final is called, the Oilers certainly do have the advantage in special teams as well.
Ooh, speaking of being called, they did release the referees for the series. I can't remember who's reffing. But yeah, they did release the 4 referees that are going to be reffing the series, alternating games. So game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4, and so on. But yeah, I really hope the refs don't do that. I think if you just call the rule book, call a penalty. I don't care if it's Connor McDavid accidentally hooking Forsling or if it's Forsling trying to take Draisaitl's head off. You've got to call a penalty as a penalty. Like, it doesn't matter what name, what player, what team. Just call it, and I think both teams will be happy. If you call the rule book, nothing you can do about it. Hey, you did your job.
Yeah, I think if you're Florida, you just want to try to really grind down the Oilers if that's possible, and just capitalize on any mistakes. Just you gotta put pressure on the Oilers. That's really your only hope. This Oilers team is very talented. And that was one of the things that I noticed that I thought Vancouver did very well, like all season and then even during their playoff run, just always putting a lot of pressure and forcing, some of the lesser experienced players, or even some of the experienced ones too, just in weird turnovers or whatever.
No, for sure, and that's exactly what Florida's done so far through these playoffs. But they're doing it to teams that, no offense to Rangers and Rangers fans, they're not. The Rangers weren't very good that series at all. Like it looked like they were folding under the pressure of being the President's Trophy winners. Boston, they looked tired. When they played Tampa, you could tell Tampa was dealing with a lot of injuries. And the Oilers, like, say what you want. The Oilers have gotten either lucky with their draw or put themselves in position to be fortunate to be playing the Kings, the Vancouver Canucks, who played a hell of a series. I just think when it came to push to shove, the skill went and won over will. And the Dallas Stars, as everyone keeps saying, went through Vegas and went through Colorado, which I don't think Colorado was a tough schedule for them, especially after Colorado lost Nishishkin. I think that drained a lot of the psyche of the Colorado Avalanche. Like they're down one of their top scorers. Sure, you got to play them tough. And then when you look on the east side, Florida again, good goalies. A lot of games went in overtime. Had to get a couple bounces. They're Florida's very aggressive, and I'm looking for the Oilers to take advantage of that. Kind of like what they did to Dallas with their aggressive forecheck. As the series went on, the Oilers were like, okay, so this is the style of play you're going to do. All right, let me just sit back, wait for you, and as I see you pushing me, I'll kind of circle around where there's nobody and just have a clean breakout. And Florida does do the three-man pressure. Like, I'm going to give Florida credit. They've got guys that want to hit. Well, the Oilers got size on the back end. What the Oilers have, the Rangers didn't. The Rangers didn't have a 6'7" Desharnais, a 6'6" Ekholm, a 6'5" Darnell Nurse. Like these are big bodies on the Oilers' back end that can take a hit and hit you at the same time. My one question for Florida is you've got to shut down two lines in Edmonton. Credit to Florida for shutting down one line or one name on a team. Like for the Rangers, they shut down the Panarin line. For the Boston, they shut down Pastrnak. Well, Pastrnak had one other guy on his team that was willing to pull the rope, and that was DeBrusk. In Tampa Bay, they had Stamkos and Kucherov, who both looked like they were in their 40s, just didn't have that step. So if you're Forsling and Ekblad, you've got McDavid, Hyman, and Hopkins, which leaves Montour and Mikola to guard Draisaitl, Holloway, and Kane. I don't see that pairing doing well, especially in games 3 and 4 in Edmonton when the Oilers got first line change. And then you got the other two with Ekman Larson and Kulikov, both offensive defensemen that will get hemmed in their own zone frequently. I think last game Florida played, both Ekman Larson and Kulikov played 5 minutes out of 60. That's a tough series, man.
Yeah, one thing I'm excited about too for this Stanley Cup final is I think these are honestly the two best teams in the league that have made it. Some years you can say, there might be a bit of a Cinderella story, or, one team just gets really hot, but I honestly believe that these two teams are the best teams, and I'm glad they both made it to the finals. I had Vancouver and the Rangers kind of as the backup for each of these teams, rounding out my top four. Yeah, Florida's going to have a very difficult time containing Edmonton. I think Vancouver probably does it best. Not to say that Florida can't do that either, or maybe find a way to do it even better. But even still, I mean, no matter how good you are, McDavid, I mean, that first goal in game 6 was just ridiculous. How do you stop that?
Yeah, it
And when
was.
you have other players that can do that too, the Oilers are going to get goals. It's as simple as that. I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be one crazy series.
That's one thing. That's one thing I keep telling people is the Oilers are going to get their goals. Like you can shut them down for a period. You can shut them down for 2 periods, but the whole game, 4 games consecutively or 7 games consecutively, that's going to be hard. And the Oilers are going to get their power plays. And as you see in the Dallas series, what did they go 0 for 20 before they went perfect in game 5 on the power play and 1 for 2 in game 6? Like, you can shut the power play down for so long and then they're going to adapt. Like, give full credit to Dallas. Like, they seen the Oilers are doing that pass back to McDavid and he uses speed. Well, shut down the neutral zone and speed nullified. Oilers adapted to it. They played more of, okay, let's give it to Bouchard. Let Bouchard hammer it in the zone. Keep pressure. We have an extra player. That's why I think the Oilers power play is so dangerous. Is like, yeah, you can shut down one aspect. You can shut down the McDavid to the middle. You can shut down Draisaitl. Then they just regroup and rethink. Credit to Golickson, the Oilers power play coach, though. Like, that is all on him and his way of thinking, right? Like, his brains at a higher level than most coaches I've seen in a long time.
Hey, Renegades. Oilers are good. Glad to have you with us here. Yeah, no, the Oilers have so many weapons on their power play, and it's just a matter of time before, you're going to click one way or the other. And one of the encouraging things to me as well was that even when the Oilers were having a bit of trouble with their power play, they're still getting goals. And then on the flip side of that, their penalty kill is, well, let's see how much more history it can make. I mean, this is pretty impressive. This is what I've been saying is this team is playing, like they're meant. This is it. So, yeah, really exciting times if you're an Oilers fan for sure. Just incredible seeing the growth this year, especially in the playoffs from this team, from being a team that most people thought of as just a high octane run and gun style to no, this team can do it all. And you cannot take them lightly at all.
No, that's the part that I keep trying to tell people is everyone's like, well, the 80s Oilers. 80s Oilers didn't have a power play like this. And the 80s Oilers didn't have a PK like this. This is not your 80s Oilers, your 2010 Oilers. This is, I don't know if I'm going to credit, like, I do have a Oilers MVP. I'm going to ask you who your Oilers MVP is this year. Obviously, I might know, but it's always good to hear everybody's thoughts and everybody's opinions. But this is a new brand of Oilers hockey that I've never seen. I've been watching the Oilers play since '84. And this isn't an Oilers team I recognize in a great way. Like, years past, we've seen it. They've had leads, and then they just choked the lead away. Like, earlier in the year, they were doing that. Earlier in the playoffs against Vancouver, they had a 2-goal lead, and it was like, hot potato, hot mess. We can't have it in our zone. Game 5 and 6 against Dallas was like, all right, put the pressure on us. Find out what happens. Of course, people are going to find the negative. Well, 10 shots in a 60-minute period game, but hey, you only need one to score, right? So,
yeah, a win is a win is a win. And even though the Oilers were heavily outshot that game, it's kind of funny. They actually played a very similar style to Vancouver for that game in particular, where sure, they got outshot by almost 3-1 at some point in the game there. But where did all those shots come from? Almost all of them were from the outside, low danger chances. So yeah, I think if you're a coach, you're still happy with that performance. Sure, you'd like to see a little more offense, a little more gas pedal there, but I mean, it's still a good performance. And one player that I'm looking at that I have a hunch is going to kind of break out a little bit again, actually, then it might surprise surprise people, but I have a feeling that Darnell Nurse is he's gonna be more of a shutdown guy for this finals. I think he gets a lot of flack, probably mostly due to the fact that his contract is pretty ridiculous. I don't think anybody can argue against that.
Yeah.
But I think this finals you're gonna get your money's worth out of him.
No, absolutely, and I think you're right there. And I don't think people have a problem with him personally. It's just his contract, and everybody I talk to is like, well, if he was making $7 million instead of $9 million, well, can't fault the guy for taking the money, right? Like, just look at him for what he does. Don't look at the numbers that he's putting, like the contracts. And I wish that's one thing that me personally I got to do more. Is don't look at the guy. Okay, well he's making $15 million this year, but he's only scoring 15 goals. I gotta look at the player as it doesn't matter how much he's making because playoff numbers don't matter how much you make. And what is he doing? He's PK number 1, power play number 2, I can't say shutdown pair number 1, but he still faces other teams' top 2 lines. He does a lot of things that nobody notices, but again, you can make 15 perfect plays up the boards and make one dummy pass where your stick just breaks or you don't get enough meat on it, and it's in the back of your net, and that's all we remember is the one that goes off your ass out of the net. We're not talking about one where you're getting hit right in the ass and it stays out. It's, yeah, no, I agree. Darnell Nurse should be a massive influence on this series. My MVP for the Oilers, though, is Chris Knoblauch. He has been the right choice at the right time. Like I don't think without Knoblauch the team is in the finals. It's not a knock on Woodcroft and the coach that he was, and he'll land on his feet, but just Knoblauch's demeanor behind the net, behind the bench. You can tell you're up 15 or down 15. He never changes. Like, he doesn't get excited, doesn't get mad, doesn't seem to yell. It's amazing to see a coach so level-headed and doesn't care about the situation.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. Yeah, and just his ability to adapt to how things are going as well. I mean, again, I might be a little biased because I've been watching a lot of Canucks games prior to joining Oilers Fan Reaction, but it's so hard not to zero in on that series when the Canucks were up 3-2. He flipped a script, and it's been nothing but amazing games from the Oilers ever since. And yeah, if they continue to play that way, and if they're able to adapt to whatever Florida can bring at them, yeah, there's no reason why they can't do it.
No, there's no reason at all. Like, it's all about adaptability, right? Like, that's why game ones to me don't matter. That's why tomorrow, like, everybody's kind of hyped for it. I'm pretty hyped for it. But win or lose game one, I don't think that's going to dictate how the series is going to go. Like, just seeing how the series against LA went and the series against Vancouver, like, and then Dallas, it's like each team has a different thing they bring. My only concern would be is if Florida does push the Oilers around and there's no pushback. Like, you're gonna expect a lot of in the scrum bullying from Florida. It's just what they do. That's just what the Cajucks do. That's what the Sam Bennetts do. They're just gonna do that. They're gonna go into a scrum, nudge Skinner just after the whistle. And it's what are the Oilers players going to do? Are they just going to sit there and let that happen, or are they going to punch back? That's what my thing I'm going to be looking for. I'm looking for the punch back. Because Florida is going to punch you in the mouth. Like, there's no question about it that Florida is going to punch you in the mouth. They're going to punch you in the mouth pretty hard. It's, are you as a defense core, even as that forward group, are you going to allow it, or are you going to punch back?
Yeah, and it's not like the Oilers can't do that themselves either. I mean, Corey Perry has built a career off of playing that style. He's obviously very skilled as well, but yeah, he can do it right back at the Florida Panthers. And I know we don't have Carrick in that lineup there, but he's another big guy that you can bring on if he's all right.
No, absolutely. Also, the Sportsnet has announced a new, I think it was a 9-year extension with NHL. Let me get the numbers right. 11 years, sorry. So, unfortunately, Sportsnet is going to stay on as the NHL broadcaster in Canada at the very least. Good God help us all. That was announced today. The other announcements today. Can't remember anything else off the top of my head. Yeah, no, that was the big announcement today. Just the extension on that broadcast, which is kind of shocking to me. Now, yeah, I agree, Renegade. Holland needs a lot more credit because we talk about Holland's moves where they didn't pan out. Duncan Keith, Campbell, like we can talk ad nauseum about Holland's failure, one or two misses, but we don't talk enough about his complete home runs. Hyman, Kane, Perry, bringing in Adam Henrique, Ekholm, like, signing this coach. Like we don't give enough credit where credit is due, and that's all hockey fan bases, right? We don't give enough the pats on the backs and attaboys. We're more of, yeah, but you made that mistake, and you drafted this player and this player. It's like, let's talk about the good. Let's mix a few good and bad. Like, yeah, every GM makes a mistake. Like, Brad Treliving wasn't perfect in Calgary, and from what I've seen in Toronto, he's not doing any better. But, hey, every GM has its day. But also, speaking of the Florida Panthers and their GM, everybody talks about he did this and he did that. Great. But you got rid of a lot of your first round picks to make your team this way. Like, to get Tarasenko and to get Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett, you had to give up quite a bit to get those players. Hopefully it's another year of crying for Florida in the finals. I know everybody says, well, Florida was in the finals last year. They got the experience. They've got the one-up. You don't lose back-to-back finals. Well, they were in the finals last year. That tells me that their bodies might be a bit more tired than the Oilers who had a longer off-season. So I got to take that into consideration too, right? Like, yeah, Florida's a good team. They made it to back-to-back cups. But that just means you got more wear and tear on your body.
Yeah, Florida should be the more prepared team. I mean, obviously they were there last year and lost out to Vegas. That said, whenever you try to point a finger in the direction of what this team or that team is a favorite, often a lot more pressure comes with that as well. And yeah, I mean, Florida, you definitely saw they cracked under the pressure last year. It could easily happen again this year too.
Oh, that, yeah. But yeah, like someone in the chat was saying Bobrovsky's 10 years older than Skinner. Absolutely. Absolutely, Bobrovsky is 10 years older than Skinner. And that part is very valid. I'm just pulling up the Stanley Cup final. What names will go on the cup if the Oilers win the cup this year? What names will be on there? Of course.
Yeah, I think Gagne is eligible.
Yeah, he played during the regular season. Gagne is eligible. So names that'll go on the cup that haven't played in these playoffs: Troy Stecher, Jack Campbell, Gagne, Fogle will be obviously in the playoffs. But yeah, it's a pretty good list of forwards and defense. But yeah, no, I like how the Oilers did that. Like, they made a T-shirt. The NHL, I should say. Not just the Oilers. Florida has the same T-shirt, just in their team and colors and all that fun jazz. Man, well, I got to ask you before we wrap this up, because apparently I got to go eat supper. What is your prediction? Obviously, Game 1, for you guys that don't know, Game 1 is on Saturday, which is tomorrow, June 8th at 6 p.m. All games are 6 p.m. Game 2 is June 10th, and then you get a 3-day break, the 13th and the 15th in Game 4. 3-day break, 3-day break, 3-day break with travel. what are your thoughts on the 3 days between games? Obviously, the 2 days off.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome the NHL did that because this is a heck of a travel, and if they were only going to have a day off in between games, that'd be pretty rough, especially as the series goes on. And it's pretty likely that this series is going to go at least 6 games. I do have the Oilers winning game one, and if I had to predict, I would say Oilers in six. However, if Florida is able to do what they do best, I could see Florida winning in seven. It's not going to be an easy series for either team,
Oh, for
but it
sure.
should be amazing. And as a fan, I think that's all you can ask for. Hopefully, the Oilers can get her done. Um, yeah, no, it's good.
Oh, for sure. Like that's the only thing you can ask for as a fan is a good hockey series. Like win or lose, the fact that you made it here, that's a cap off to you. Like there's 30 other teams that wish they were still playing right now, and there's been a lot of eyes on this series. Like it's the farthest traveled series in NHL history in the Cup final from one city to the other. And yeah, I love the 3 day break on travel days when you're traveling. Like that means the world like makes world of difference. For me, I do have the Oilers winning game one in a very close overtime. Losing game two, losing game three, winning game four. I have the Oilers in seven, just like I have the Panthers in seven. I can't get off the fact that these are two teams that match up well together. Florida has the edge in goaltending. I think top pair Florida defense, but after that it tails off for the Oilers. And again, much like the Dallas series, and much like we're hearing from the media pundits, well, Florida's big, Florida's bad, Florida's got better D, better goal. They're just replacing the word Florida and Dallas, much like what they did with Vancouver. Credit to Vancouver. Vancouver's the same way. Vancouver's D was bigger. Vancouver had an edge in goaltending, even though it was Seeloff's. Vancouver had the edge in overall forwards without the top end skill. But Oilers just found a way. Like it's almost like they're rinsing and repeating their comments. Vancouver was this, and then the Dallas Stars were this, and now it's the Florida Panthers are this, and the Oilers are just like, ho hum. Yep, they were. Yep, they are. Yep, we've played this style. Yep, we know how to defend this style. It's like just another day at the office for the Oilers. I feel like that's how they're going to it. They're not going into it. We deserve something. We've earned it. Job's not done. Like I keep telling people, like job's not done. There's still 4 more wins. Possibility of 7 games. Like, yeah, we won the West. We get a banner, but that's not the banner we want. We want the cup. Like, if you watch the Oilers stream and the Oilers broadcast of Game 6, the crowd. And I think that's going to be the biggest difference maker in this series is Games 3 and 4. Our crowd will drown out anything Florida's crowd will ever do. I think it's advantage Edmonton when it's at home. I've seen the Florida crowds. They're not loud. There's a lot of them. They're just not loud.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be wild in Florida too. No disrespect to their fans, but yeah, there's always a bit of a difference between an American and Canadian team when it comes to the fan bases for hockey, anyways. Not all sports, of course, but for hockey, it always means just a little bit more. It's almost a religion up there, and yeah, it should be pretty amazing. If any team had an advantage as far as travel goes, I'd probably give it to Edmonton, just because they do typically travel more distance than Florida. But I don't think that's going to matter much, given that the NHL has given them an extra day off in between games. I think that's really awesome. So that, to me, it's going to be about as a fair of a series as it can be, as long as the refs, can just call it as best they can down the middle. They don't have an easy job, but yeah.
Renegade was just saying. Also, McDavid is overrated. Yeah, that Miami Herald reporter is going to eat a lot of crow in the offseason if the Oilers end up pulling this off, because that's one thing I know about McDavid. He may not read the headlines, but he's aware of what's being said about him at all times. And it's almost like as soon as you poke him a little bit or even doubt the skill that he has, like, don't doubt me. Because I know 2 years ago people were doubting his scoring technique and, oh, McDavid doesn't score enough goals, goes out and scores 64. Oh, now McDavid's a pure goal scorer, goes and puts up 100 assists this season. It's like, whatever this guy can put his mind to, he's going to do. Like, it's a crazy situation he's in.
Oh, that is hilarious. McDavid is overrated. Yeah, give me a break.
Yeah,
I mean, he's gone up against. He gets the most attention out of any player in the NHL by far. And that means he's always going up against the best defensive forwards, the best defensive defensemen, and he still does what he does. I mean, that first goal in Game 6 against Dallas was filthy. There was nothing anybody could do there. That was... If you could call a goal destiny, that is a destiny goal right there. It was going to happen.
That goal is on every highlight reel for everybody to watch for a decade to come. Like, that was up there with, for those that watch international hockey, the Iggy to Crosby goal for Canada winning the 2010 Olympic gold medal. Like, if you watch that series at all, you heard Crosby saying Iggy from a mile away. And for the older folk, that is the Rick Henderson goal of 1972 Summit Series. I'm that fucking old. If you guys don't know the 72 Summit Series, look it up. Great series versus Russia. Great hockey on the olden times. So, again, that McDavid goal to me is top 3 of all hockey goals all time.
Yeah, that goal was definitely something special. Yeah, Barkov is a great two-way player. Renegade, yeah, for sure.
Nobody's taking what Barkov's doing.
But even Barkov, yeah, I mean, whenever McDavid, I don't want to call it will, because then it sounds like he's not bringing it 100% all the time, and you know that he is, but there's just some moments that McDavid has where it doesn't matter who his defender is. There's nothing you can do. You saw it in each and every series. And I thought Vancouver played the Oilers probably the best, and they still didn't stop him. He still racked up a lot of points. I mean, look how many points he has so far this playoff run. Ridiculous.
Yeah, no, Diane's right. I wasn't alive for the Summit Series, but that's lore in our hockey for what we watched growing up. It's one of those things, like, where the States had the moon landing, they had the TVs in the schools for the moon landing. Apparently, according to my dad, they had TVs in schools for the 72 Summit Series final when Henderson scored the goal. So, little bit of history there. Yeah, I'm not that old. Thankfully, I'm not that old to remember 72 Summit Series. I'd have a few more gray hairs in my beard, that's for sure. But yes, I think all in all, it's going to be a good series. I think it's going 7. We're going to have 3 more weeks of hockey, which just means a really short off season for the Oilers in Florida. Well, for all teams, because when's the draft? June 29th? June 30th? And you got free agency on the 1st? Jeez. No rest for the wicked.
Yeah, it's for the wicked. It's going to be a quick turnaround for both teams, for sure.
Hey, man, it's worth it to play where they're playing, right? Like, also, guys, I won't be watching Sportsnet for the finals. I'll be watching on ABC, so you're not going to have to hear me screaming at how bad the commentary is on Sportsnet. Finally, some Americanized commentary on the broadcast for you guys to listen to.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully Sportsnet too. Hopefully the Oilers can get their own broadcasters, partnered up with Sportsnet there because, yeah, it's just awkward hearing all these things about all these other teams as opposed to your home team. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh, for sure. That's part of the
But I
frustration
don't
of our
want to,
fans, and a lot of people.
but I don't want to leave on a bad note. I want to, this is a great time to be an Oilers fan. Great time to be watching this hockey. This is definitely something special. Cherish every game, guys, because you never know. It could be another 20 years till they get back here again. So really, watch along. We'll cheer along with you, and we'll make this hopefully something special for you all.
Oh, for sure, guys. And again, thank you guys for watching. If you guys are new, or if you guys are seeing this for the first time on replay, hit the subscribe button, push the like button, leave a comment, let us know what your thoughts are. Who wins this series? Who does this benefit more, this matchup of offense versus defense? They say defense wins championships, but sometimes that offense needs to chip in a few times for a goal or two. Hey, Michael, how's it going? He comes in at the later, as we're signing off almost. Anyways, guys, my name's Matt. This is Lubo. Again, we will see you on Saturday.
I'll catch you guys then. Hopefully, Matt won't be too long getting back to the game. He'll be having fun at the football game. Thankfully, they changed the time on that, as I thought they would. It'd be
Yes,
crazy
guys.
not to.
That was a scheduling issue I had. I'm going to the Rough Rider Eskimo game tomorrow, and it was supposed to be at 5 o'clock. Well, as we know, the Oilers game is at 6. I can't be there and be here, so they scheduled the football game for 2. Hey, I might make it in time for 5 minutes in the first period, so you'll just miss me for a couple minutes. Hockey New Year for sure. But yes, guys, my name is Matt. As always, thank you for watching. This is Oilers Fan Reaction. We'll catch you tomorrow.